Welcome back, it's Raychich, and in this video I will talk about my top league starters for 3.24 Necropolis League. One of these starters I made by myself, and I personally checked all the others. Before I start, let me explain what makes a good league starter. First of all, this build should not have difficult to craft items or expensive uniques, as they will not be available at the beginning, so it should have leveling and endgame progression in POP as well, or in video. A good starter can farm maps with trash items, farm the expedition, harvest some other mechanics, and kill initial bosses to get void stones. In this video every starter is ready to destroy the content in Necropolis League, and I hope you will like this video and don't forget to subscribe and leave a comment. So, we start. Stormburst Totems Hierophant is my own build. I spent more than a week making and testing everything in solo self-found, and I really love how it feels like. Playing this build you don't need any special uniques or crafting items to be super strong in maps, in boss fights, expedition, and actually Sanctum. I made a long video about Stormburst Totems build, and in my pedo building you will find everything you need. I mean leveling and game version and a lot of notes that will help you to play this build. I tested it in SSF, as I said before. I went through the entire campaign and reached the red maps with very good items, and about endgame version is super strong for tier 16 maps, guards, bosses and Sanctum. Actually, for Sanctum this build is super good. When it comes to the pros and cons of this build, everything is quite simple. There are many pros and only cons. Stormburst deals massive damage without any items, great AoE clear, solid boss damage and easy boss fights, good survivability and step-by-step leveling. As for the cons, it's totems, so it means this build is not for everyone. You need to run and spawn totems, and your totems kill everything around with a massive AoE, so if you don't like totems playstyle, choose something else. However, in boss fights, this totem playstyle becomes a huge bonus, as all you need to do is spawn your totems, use conductivity curse and run around until the totems defeat the boss. And that's it. Another downside is that this build isn't the fastest for clearing maps, since it's not the bow build with a lot of projectiles or else, but clear speed is still decent and not bad. Actually super comfortable. Like with this build you can farm everything in game except maybe Legion and Simulacrum, and I recommend to choose Stormburst Totems if you want a confident and easy league starter without worrying about gear and crafting. Video guides in the description. Explosive Trap of Shrapnel is a good choice. So this Trickster is an insane bosser for 3.24 Necropolis League, and if you want to focus on bosses and go to Ubers as soon as possible and farm them, so it means this build is maybe for you. Fearless Dump or Fearless Dumbo, I'm sorry I don't know how to pronounce your nickname, has a lot of knowledge about these builds, and he made a league starter guide for everyone. About pros and cons here, playing this build it will be so easy to get a lot of damage against solo targets, you will just one-shot bosses with no expensive gear, and about your mapping, is not the fastest, but with a new transfigured explosive trap of Shrapnel version, your AoE is pretty big, so you will be fine even in tier 16 maps. But don't forget that this build is a trapper, and it means this playstyle is not for everyone, as with the totems. Because you need to throw traps and they will detonate after. About survivability, this build is not tanky at all, like your AoE with a new gem is fine, monsters will not attack you, and you can one-shot bosses. But if you didn't one-shot bosses like Maven, she can one-shot you. Keep it in mind, this build is not for defense. Also, Palsteron made another version of this build, but not on Trickster. He made Inquisitor version, which is more comfortable for a league start, but about late endgame, in my opinion, Trickster is much stronger. Anyway, I will leave two links in the description for Trickster and Inquisitor explosive trap of Shrapnel builds, and you can choose which one you would like to start with. Exsanguinate Mines Trickster is my favorite mapper for upcoming Necropolis League, because like this build is incredibly fast in maps, has enough damage to kill bosses like millions, and doesn't require any special items to be that strong, except maybe Head Shiver, which you can buy for cheap after a couple of days of the league. I saw this build on Crouching Tuna Twitch and I like it. Everything is clear about the pros and cons of this build. It's like quick map clearing, Atlas progression, Legion, expedition, like it's really fast mapper, good boss damage, but maybe not for Ubers. This build is not really tanky, has pretty small effective hit pool, and I don't know how it feels in Uber boss fights. So you shouldn't farm Ubers with this build, of course, it's mapper, hello. If you want to farm Uber bosses, it's better to choose something else, or you need to invest really a lot into these builds. Anyway, crouching Tuna pop, I will leave it in description. If you want to start with some mapper in Necropolis League, I would like to recommend this build exactly. Exsanguinate Mines Trickster is a good one. Explosive Arrow Champion is a classic league starter, and Zizaran has started leagues with these builds many times. This is always a good choice and strong builds if you want to farm absolutely everything in game and don't want to worry about something new. A lot of defense, like really a lot. Not the fastest map clearing, but it's still decent, requires absolutely nothing to farm content, and it takes some time to kill bosses because it's Ballista. The only two things that may confuse you when choosing this build: firstly, of course, this is a Ballista build, so if you don't like the Totem playstyle, it's better not to start with this build. And the second thing is that everyone is already tired of these builds. It has been one of the most popular starters for several years now, and it's somehow uninteresting. There is also a version of the Elementalist Explosive Arrow Ballista with better damage but lower survivability, so if you want to start Necropolis League with something classic and confident, I will leave these two links in the description, and I would better choose Elementalist version because for more damage and uber potential. Detonate Death has always been associated with 2 buttons playstyle and Elementalist ascendancy. But not at this time. Ruetoo made the cast on crit Inquisitor version of this build with Lancing Steel that triggers Detonate Date of Chain Reaction, a new Transfigure gem with much better clear speed and maps, and this league starter is something new in pathofexile. Actually, this build doesn't require any expensive items and has like tons of damage and pretty good defense. And I don't know why Grinding Gear Games didn't nerf it, but yeah, now it's strong and you can start with it if you want to try something unusual and new. This league starter is not very simple, but I will leave a link to a video that literally explains every step, so if you want to play Detonate That but don't wanna click 2 buttons and try something new, this build is damn good for you. So I think these 5 builds are the best for the league start in my opinion, but anyway, I will attach a Google Docs link with other good league starters for Necropolis League, so you can start with those builds. And that's all I wanted to say. Don't forget to react in comments and like this video for my efforts. Love you guys, check my description, waiting you on Twitch, waiting you in my Discord, and see you soon in future videos. Bye.